Path of a Healer podcast. Tune in to hear her journey through trauma, pain, and illness, to miracles, psychic gifts, alien encounters, spiritual growth, and more. Tune in now because it's podcast time. It's podcast time.
Disclaimer. The information shared on the Path of a Healer podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Everything you hear on this podcast, including stories, opinions, and insights, reflect my own personal experience and are meant for general information, educational, and inspirational purposes. While I do my best to provide accurate and helpful content, I make no guarantees, as information can change over time. I encourage you to explore references, seek additional sources, and always consult with your own physician about any questions you have regarding your health or treatment. And remember, it's just that your vibration is rising. My name is Sherry, and thank you for joining the Path of a Healer podcast. Now let's get to it. Today I have Emily Grammy here. Emily and I used to work together, and I'm not going to say where we work together because I don't want to tag this video with any
the trenches.
But we work together, and we've always really gotten along well. She has a great big giving heart, and I love her. And she has opened up the Oregon Farm Sanctuary, and she does a lot of animal rescues. And today we just I wanted to introduce her, and I wanted her to tell her story of how she got started in running a farm while working full-time as a registered nurse. In fact, a little more than full-time.
Well, yeah, you got to pay the feed bill somehow.
And also having some of her own personal issues going on. And I'll let her decide how much of that she wants to talk about. And so, Emily, how did you get started in all this?
Thank you, Sherry, for having me. It goes back to one rescue goat is kind of how it started, and then from there it was word of mouth, and now it's a sanctuary with over 80 animals, and it's starting to kind of morph into its own little thing out there, and we've started to rescue dogs out of high kill shelters in California and bring them up to Oregon, since Oregon is kind of a sanctuary state for dogs, more so than California, which was surprising to me.
And although I don't know if we're going to post the actual video or if I'm just going to put some scenes in here, even my cats are attracted to her.
I do love cats, and maybe they smell the 2 new rescue kittens we took in last week. But thanks again for having me. I think my years bedside nursing with Sherry were some of the best years on the floor, and she was always an inspiration to me, how much she treated the patients with respect and love, and even the fellow coworkers, just a sweet, loving person. So thanks for just being you.
Thank you. And thank you for coming and being willing to share your story so that we can maybe help get you some recognition and help. 80 animals, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot for you to pay the feed bill on, and you are a 501(c), and so you do have donation status where it's a tax deductible donation, and I will share a link to that with this podcast, so that if you guys find it in your hearts to help Emily maintain this farm sanctuary, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so basically I've been doing it for the last 10 years, just overtime. And then this last year we officially became a 501(c), so that was exciting. Kind of what brought us to that point was I had some health issues come up, and a couple brain surgeries actually, and that got me thinking future, that maybe I wasn't going to be around like I thought to work all that overtime to pay for all my animals, and I should start thinking of a way that would protect my animals if I wasn't around. So that's when I decided to form the nonprofit, and here we are today. And The surgeries actually went pretty well, and positive outcome for the most part.
Well, I'm really glad you had a positive outcome from your surgeries. When we were working together, I can remember, that one goat that started it all.
Yes.
Stetson himself has an interesting story.
He does.
Because if I remember correctly, he was born hermaphroditic, which means full genitals of both sexes.
Correct.
And that was causing some issues for Stetson's health.
Yes.
So
Stetson was born a boy and a girl. He had like a abscess around the outside of it would be a vagina on a goat, and the farmer didn't know what it was, and so he was going to put him down. So his daughters fell in love with Stetson and reached out to their fellow internet friends, and one of my old coworkers saw their post and said, "Can you save this goat?" And I was like, well, sure, why not? So I went down and picked him up, and he went to the vet that day, and then we found out he was actually a boy and a girl. But it caused urinary scalding like down his legs, and it was causing infections, and so he ended up having to live inside in order to prevent infection because of how the opening was. If he laid outside, dirt would get in it, and then he would get sick. So we had to make it a whole year like that before he could get surgery, because in goats, testosterone actually widens their urethra. And so if you fix them too soon, they can get bladder stones like humans, can get, or kidney stones. And
of course, infections.
You
have a wider area for bacteria to climb in.
Correct. And so they can die if these stones go into their urinary tract because they get blocked and then they die. So the vet said we got to wait a year. So he lived inside that year. We potty trained him, and he had his surgery, which we had to choose if he was going to be a boy or a girl, which was kind of a tough decision because in some ways it was easier to make him a girl, and then other ways, keep them, I guess not even keep them. It was just kind of deciding what to do. So there was actually nights of sleep, missing, not being able to sleep, trying to decide, do you make a boy or a girl? So the vets ended up thinking we would keep, because he had a pretty intact male urethra. But when they ended up getting in, they decided to rebuild the urethra underneath the urethra. So he has two urethras. One was built by the vets, and then they closed up his, vagina, and he ended up getting fixed. And he was a rare case and is well known there now. But he was only supposed to live a few years, and he's going to turn 8 this year. So
yeah. And he still lives inside.
And he thinks he's a human now. So and he actually pays the mortgage. That's how he acts. And I'm just his maid and chef and personal chef.
We all know how that goes.
Yeah.
He had some more health issues recently too.
He did. So a few years ago he ate a dog rope toy, and that caused an obstruction, and he almost died from that. He's almost like a cat. He has 9 lives. He's had quite the emergency vet visits, but that led to some adhesions and some other issues, and so they had to go in and do another abdominal surgery, and he made it, and he's doing well.
That one was touch and go too.
It was touch and go, yeah.
I know you were really worried about him there for a little while. And again, you're doing this all on your own, and that was a pretty hefty vet bill.
It was.
I can only imagine what the deciding he was going to be a boy surgery cost.
Yeah.
Let alone the ongoing health issues that come up. And you're just never say no. If somebody has an animal that is either going to get put down or go to an abusive home, you've never said no.
No, I've been pretty open over the years to accepting whatever. Lately we've had to put on the brakes a bit, and you'd be taking in animals every day. But I try to not say no as much as humanly possible, but I also have to be cognizant on the financial aspect of
Right,
things.
because you do have to pay the mortgage.
I do have to pay the mortgage.
Stetson hasn't started earning his keep
yet. Yeah, he hasn't earned his keep, and maybe it's, I haven't put him online. Yeah. He hasn't started an Instagram, which I probably missed that.
And then taking care of 80 animals and working more than full-time as a nurse, do you have any help?
Yeah, some help. I kind of have a routine down where it doesn't take as long as you would think and that it would, now that I kind of have a system. But we're going to start a volunteer program here. It's just finding the time to get the volunteer program going. We finally have our first volunteer a couple weeks ago come on board, and she is a future vet student. And so she wanted to get some hours working on a farm and deciding if she wants to go into farm medicine or small animal medicine. And so she's come out to work with our cow that we have that's in a wheelchair. Granted, she's pretty much out of the wheelchair now.
Oh, yes, Clara. Who it was recommended that you put down, who was born with the cerebellum missing.
Yes. So she's missing the middle of her cerebellum.
And was unable to walk.
Correct.
And through
physical therapy and a lot of praying.
She's had a couple wheelchairs made for her and a lot of love. Yeah. And, I think that's what does it, is the love more than anything else.
I agree. I think, you see these little animals and, you don't want them suffering, so they have to have a will to live. And she had a will to live. She wanted to. So I couldn't put down an animal that wants to live, and she's trying as hard as she could, and I look at it as, well, if they're going to try that hard, I need to try that hard for them. So every day going out there and putting her in like a little jumpy and building up those muscles. I researched a lot of the stuff they do for humans that are missing their cerebellum, because there's not much research for animals that are missing their cerebellum.
Because most people just, they're not right, put them down.
Yeah, and that's how it goes. Yeah.
And so what you do is, you're just amazing.
Well, thank you.
I'm not trying to make you get embarrassed or anything, but truly what you do for the animals is absolutely amazing. Plus what you do for humans is amazing.
Well, thank you.
Because you're also an amazing nurse.
Well, I think the nursing has helped because, I look at the animals more as I guess a human. Then there are animals, but I look at them as my equal, and what we would do in human medicine for the animal, or in human medicine we would do for a human or people, that I think we should maybe look at doing for animals. And I know everybody can't do that, but if I have the power to do that, then that's what I choose to do. So hours and hours of research. Humans that are missing part of the cerebellum, there is research that very extensive physical therapy and occupational therapy have made it where they can maybe not live you aren't going to be a Olympic runner, but you could maybe get around with a walker or a wheelchair, or there's been cases where they've been able to walk without a wheelchair. Their balance and coordination aren't the best, but they were able to, but it takes a lot of time and effort. So that's what I decided to do with Clara, and she's bouncing back. We still have one leg we're working on, and so that's the future vet student. Has been working with Clara weekly on the physical therapy that we had her do for a while with an actual canine physical therapist. And so she's doing those exercises with Clara to build her arm strength back in, or her leg strength. And hopefully she'll be able to walk fairly normal. But she's no longer using her wheelchair on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. Only when she's out in the field with the other animals, so she doesn't get run over.
Because if I remember correctly, you didn't think she'd ever be able to actually walk.
No.
And so, that's just amazing.
Yeah, the vet said she would never walk. She would never be able to even, she couldn't sit up. She couldn't really roll over. But you could tell she wanted to live. So, yeah. She's the happiest cow out there. If you come out and, you think some people have said, why would you keep a cow alive like that? But if you come out and see her in her element, she is happier than the cows running around on the grass.
And that's another point too. People can come out and visit the animals on the farm.
Yes.
And your farm's in Woodburn.
Correct.
And so all they have to do is contact you and set it up, and they can come out and they can actually play with the animals. And I've seen some of the videos where people are out there and they're following them around. And
oh yeah.
And you also have another animal that needed a lot of tender care, and that animal wakes you up every morning for some food.
Are you talking about the chicken, the rooster?
I thought you had you've had a couple birds.
I have. Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah. So all the barn birds, I was thinking this new rooster that we rescued, he is now my alarm clock at 6 a.m.
Oh,
yeah. But I do have another couple alarm clocks. I have a little barn swallow that wakes me up in the morning.
That's the one that you had to keep in your cleavage to keep it warm enough to survive.
Yeah, and if you ever find a bird out on the ground, a baby bird that there's no choice and you have to take it in, you'd be surprised. The chest area, it's like a incubator.
Yes.
And it's the perfect temperature for them. I have tried other ways. I've tried heating pads. I've tried heat lamps, and you either overheat them, underheat them. So you have to be really careful. So the easiest thing I have found is just putting them in my cleavage, running around like that. And they've all survived. And plus, it makes it easier for barn chores, just keeping them there.
Right?
So, yeah.
You also had a crow that was blind that would peck at the piano, right?
Yes, yep, I have had a blind crow. It was pretty tragic. They found him on a golf course, actually, and they were going to put him down. But he was one that, was a survivor as well. So they brought him to me, and, he was blind, but he ended up with a seizure disorder. Mm. So that was unfortunate, and he did pass away, but he did have a knack for playing the piano.
And even if he passed away, the end of his days were quite pleasant.
Yes. No, he was surrounded by love. He loved hopping around the house. He, even being blind, he could get around and do his thing, and he loved music. Morgan Wallen was his favorite country singer. Anytime you'd come in my house, you'd have the Morgan Wallen channel on, because if you turned it off, he'd start squawking. And if you turned it to some other country singer, didn't like it. He would be upset. So, yeah, I could sing every single Morgan Wallen song just because that's what he liked.
That's great. I had a conversation with a crow when I was in Tillamook with my brother.
Did you?
My brother and my husband were disc golfing at the junior high, and I heard a crow caw, and so I cawed at it.
Yeah.
And then it cawed twice, so I cawed twice. Then it cawed 3 times, so I cawed 3 times. And then I went, okay, only caw once this time, and I cawed once, and it only cawed once. And then I cawed 3 times, and it cawed 3 times. And then I went, okay, I'm done with the conversation now, though.
Yeah. Well, they're very intelligent. They say like a 3 or 4-year-old is their cognitive level, and I believe it. The crow, he would surprise me on things, and they can actually talk if they're around humans enough. And he started to be able to say hello, and he would bark like a dog because he would hear the dogs barking when the Amazon driver, would come up. And, he never was able to sing the Morgan Wallen songs, but I think if he would have survived a longer period of time and maybe without the seizure disorder, he would have been able to. But, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, the intelligence. And crows actually, if you do them a favor, they remember it forever. Yeah. And they'll start doing favors for you. You might find little trinkets near your door because they've brought you trinkets.
Yeah.
And hopefully they didn't steal it from the neighbor.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. You could probably teach them to rob a bank. They're so smart. But
yeah, animals are amazing. And I don't think enough people understand just how amazing animals are and how therapeutic they are. I mean, when we have the animals coming through as therapy dogs and such, the way that the patients, they light up when they see them, and it's just amazing. And so it's really sad when they end up in a shelter and they go to get killed. And so I know the next project you'd been working on is you've been driving all the way to California and picking up animals like minutes before they're about to get killed in kill shelters, and then trying to find good homes for them.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I grew up watching Pound Puppies, and I joke about this. And I think it's ruined me a little bit where, it's so hard to just sit idly when you can do something to help. So there's been many of drives down to LA on no sleep and just kind of sleeping at rest stops on the way down and on the way back to safely be on the road. But yeah, San Bernardino shelter is a high kill shelter. A lot of the dogs that come into that shelter will be euthanized, and the ones on, they post new E-list dogs, which is a euthanasia list, daily, and you have really minutes. They put deadlines on them: 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Those are like the 3 time frames, and if you don't make it there in time, they'll euthanize the animal. So I either have somebody go pick up the animal, and then I'll come down and pick it up from them. But you have to pay these people to drive, pick up the animal, and then hold them for you. And then I do have a couple volunteers down there, foster volunteers, that will hold the animal once we transport them there. But there's great dogs. They're purebred dogs. There's mutts. There's puppies, middle-aged dogs, senior dogs. We have a hospice dog right now that was rescued off the E-list, but they're great dogs where I just can't see them being put down.
Yeah.
So driving back up here, keep them on the farm, make some cute videos of them and post them, and people have been stepping up and adopting them, which has been really nice, because I can't do, I can't rescue them if people aren't going to adopt them.
Right.
Then I'm going to have a million dogs, which I would love, but
you've already got 80 animals on your farm already, and you're personally financing taking care of all of these animals. And so, but if anybody did happen to see one on the kill shelter, they could probably contact you, and you could make arrangements to help them get that animal should they want it. But I know that you're going to be vetting people also to make sure that they actually can have that animal, and that it's not just that, I wish I don't want that. And I'm not saying that people do this on purpose.
Yeah.
People have hearts.
There's an emotional
and they see an animal, and they don't want that animal to die, and they in their mind they're like, well, I could just take it, but it doesn't always work that way. Like, for example, I'm not allowed to have animals here at my house because my landlord doesn't allow it, and so it can be really difficult. And but if anybody can help you out in any way that they can, that would be wonderful, because you're still going to keep doing it, even with the issues that you have personally going on. As long as you can, I know you're going to be doing this, and it would be wonderful if some people could step up and volunteer, and maybe others could financially, if they could, help out, or maybe even, get some help pay for some insurance for some of them so that they can get seen by vets and whatnot.
Yeah.
And all of that's tax deductible. To volunteer for you, I know with a 501 3C,
correct,
that any mileage that they use to get there is deductible on their taxes. Any money that they donate is deductible. Actual time, unfortunately, isn't deductible, but like if you're thinking about going to vet school, that'd be, wonderful place to come and learn some about. And I know you probably do some of the shots and stuff with animals yourself, so there's an opportunity for somebody who's in vet school to get extra practice giving shots.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we do a lot of the vet care under the guidance of a vet ourselves. We work with some really good vets in the area that have supported us, and it's been kind of nice to be able to do, vaccines and different things like that myself from knowing how with nursing.
Right.
So it's saved a lot of money. But you can't go down to the farm store anymore and buy vaccines like you used to be able to. They just outlawed that last year. So that's made it a little more difficult. But I have a good relationship with my cow vet, so that's made a big
you
difference.
used to be able to go get antibiotics and everything at the farm store.
Not anymore.
Same antibiotics that a human would take.
Yeah.
You could get them at a farm store. You just had to know the dosage that a human would have to take. Not that I ever did that.
No, but
Hey, let's take a little break. I really hope you're enjoying the Path of a Healer podcast. And if so, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this podcast, and hit that little bell icon so you know every time a new episode comes out. Your support really helps the message reach more souls who are ready to awaken. And back to the program.
they didn't get rid of that loophole.
Yeah.
So
I kind of thought they had, because the last time I went looking for something, because I do, even though I'm not supposed to, I do have 2 cats, and one of them has chronic sinusitis issues and rhinitis, and so I have to give her antibiotics twice a week, and then I also have to do a couple nasal sprays. And I have to say that kudos to anybody who does vet medicine, because
it's a hard job.
Getting nasal spray up a cat is a very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, I hand it to you for doing that, because that's yeah.
Yeah, her vet is very happy that she lives with a nurse who can actually do some of that medical care for her. And she's a very happy kitty now. I just I have to hide her when the landlord comes. So
well, it'd be nice if every landlord would allow pets. I think that would help a lot of these shelters not be overcrowded.
You know the interesting part? In the Veterinary Hall of Fame.
Wow. He still doesn't want animals.
Well, I'm sure that there are people who don't take good care of animals, and there's damage that happens to houses, and the pet fee doesn't cover the damages in a lot of places. So I understand that. So yeah, I'm just make sure I'm very responsible. I don't know if you noticed, but I have 4 or 5 cats scratched around.
Yeah, I mean, this is cat heaven. Like, you got toys, and
that actually helps cats not misbehave when they have enough scratching posts in various, not just one, but in various areas of the house. Because it's number one, it's the way that they keep their claws healthy. It's also a way that they reduce stress, and it's a way that they scent things. And it's also their way of telling you they're ready to play. And so understanding cat language is an interesting thing. And they're energy workers.
They are.
And so technically, for every person in your house, you should have a cat, and that cat will be the person who helps keep your energy balanced. And they do tend to pick their owner, so.
Yeah, no, they do. And I think I have 7 to 1.
That's okay too.
I got a lot of healing and energy going on in there. I was never, I guess they would say, a cat person. Growing up, I always gravitated to the dogs, but I have become a cat person as I've gotten older and been around them, and they are healing, like you say, and they're just they're so peaceful, and they don't require really much besides your love and a little attention here and there,
and a routine,
which that's my problem, is that I'm not one for being routine. So yeah, I probably throw them off there.
Yeah, like ours, they eat at 4:30 in the morning, and at 4:30 in the evening they get wet food, and then they have a dry food dispenser that dispenses 5 times a day.
Oh, nice.
And and they like to go out at certain times, except when it's raining, and then they just look outside and go, I don't think so. But and so, you're just amazing.
Well, no, thank you. Kind of back to the healing aspect of things. Recently, we had the St. Mary's Boys Home come out. They are, I don't want to say, I guess, juvenile teens.
They're juveniles that have gotten in some form of trouble.
Yeah.
And so they have to do community service and things like that to make amends.
Yeah, and therapy, and they have the strict regimen they have to go through while they're in this program, and it's their last chance before going into like a secure environment. And they started coming out, not to volunteer, but just to be around the animals. And it was pretty neat where we took them out into like this backfield with all the big cows. And they say cow hugging is therapeutic, and sometimes even more than going to a therapist. You can just go hug a cow and automatically your blood pressure and heart rate go down. The cow's heart rates are a lower pace than ours, and so if you're holding on to them, your heart rate will can try to match or mimic that, so it calms you. And there's 5 at this time run up to the cow, and they all stick their arms around them and hug them, and they're just holding on to the cow, and one goes, you know what, I think I am healed. Like, this is healing. So, and you could see the smile on their faces, and it was just like, and then that makes me feel good, like,
yeah,
you know, wow, this is why we're here.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So
yeah,
that's cool. Interestingly, I just did a little video for TikTok this morning about how important heart hugs are.
Oh, really?
And how we've gotten away from, between the internet, where we're more connected than we ever have been in our lives, and yet so disconnected from one another.
Yeah.
And then COVID came along, and now we're afraid to touch each other or get close to one another.
Yeah.
And then here comes AI companions, and they're making robots that are going to be affordable, and those robots are functional in every way a human could be. And so my thought process is going, this isn't looking very good for humanity.
No.
Because when you have a human companion, you're going to have differences and you have to work through them. And if you have a AI or a robotic companion, they're going to just be programmed to accept you the way you are, and you don't have to change, which means that sometimes we are doing things that are harmful not only to ourselves but to other people, and we don't have any clue that we're doing that, and just never going to grow out of that because it's not being called out. And then where do we go from there? I mean, Japan successfully grew a baby in an artificial womb.
Wow.
So
yeah, well, we're going to go extinct.
Well, no, we won't go extinct, because they could still grow babies.
I guess we can grow babies, so you're right.
At some point, AI might look at us as a species and go, you're hurting the planet. Oh, wait, I think they made a movie about that. It was called Terminator.
Wow. So, yeah, that's something like...
I mean, I didn't think this kind of stuff was going to happen in my lifetime, but it is, and I'm not sure if I'm all for that, because I miss the days where your neighbor cared enough to stop the porch pirate from stealing your package, or check in on you because they hadn't seen you in a couple days. And I'm guilty of not doing that for my neighbors too, because most of your neighbors now, when you go knock on their door to check in on them, we're like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, it's a different
world, and I don't know that it's better.
No, but circling back to the healing, like of the touching the cows and the healing. You actually are a healer yourself.
Yes.
And you do like healing touch.
Yes.
So would that have any, like, how would you relate just hugging a cow to how healing touch works?
It would be like that heart hug. But there's actually healing touch for animals also.
Okay.
So just like the human energy system, animals also have an energy system. It's slightly different, and I'm not actually taking the courses on healing touch for animals. But I have a few friends, and I have one that really does healing touch for horses. So you learn how to their energy as well. What I do find, I've been doing healing touch for over 20 years, and animals actually come up to me, and like, it's kind of crazy. I think I told it on when I was talking with Precious on the podcast before, but I was walking at the Vancouver riverfront one day, and an older golden retriever just came up and ran into the back of my knee. And it was right before a lightning storm, too.
Wow.
And the owner's all embarrassed and going, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "It's okay. Animals like me." And I reached down to pet it, and it just started singing, just, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." And then I don't ever reach down with two hands to an animal. And this time I did for some reason. And then I petted it a little bit, and then it did a little spin. So I took my hands off because it was spinning. And then I reached down again, and the exact same thing. As soon as my hands got close, arr, 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 arr. And then I did a little bit more petting, and then it kind of wagged its tail, shook, and looked at its owner and went walking. Now, the other dog that was with him didn't come up at all, but this one did, and Precious was going, "Oh, it needed some of your healing energy."
Yeah.
And then in March, I went with my brother to the Grand Canyon, and another dog came up and just leaned into my leg and wouldn't move.
Oh.
It just was like, just leaning.
Yeah.
And the owner's kind of like, and I'm like, "It's okay."
Giving it some energy.
Petted it a little bit, and then it finally got up and went on its way. And in September, when I went to the Redwoods with my brother, I had a raven come within a foot of me. Like, I literally could have reached out and probably touched it. And it was like talking back and forth with me, just like that crow was, until somebody else came through the park, and then it flew off. But I thought that was kind of interesting, that it just came up and like it just kept inching closer and closer to me until I squatted down, and then just sat there and talked with me. And then I also, if I'm sitting in my car, because sometimes I get there way too early, and people will walk by with animals on a leash, and the dogs are pulling them towards my car. And so I think it's because they can sense that energy, and they just want some of it. Somebody was walking, I think it was a Pomeranian, out as I was coming in, and that dog beelined for me. And I reached down and started petting it, and it got all happy, and the owners thought that was really cute. And to be honest, you would think that I would be deathly afraid of animals, because when I was 5, I had a Doberman bite clear through both my legs.
Wow.
And it was
I remember you saying that.
It was about a quarter inch from crippling me for life.
Whoa.
And yet I don't have that fear.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
That is, because a lot of people would be fearful if they had that traumatic experience.
For the most part, I'd say fear is a detriment to life, because when you fear to do things, there's no way for you to grow, because
it holds you back.
You've got to face things in order to grow, and it's scary to face things. And so I guess I got that lesson early on. I lived through it, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's just how life goes sometimes.
It's true. You just got to keep on going.
Yeah. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about with with the farm? Any other animals that stick out that people might be interested in coming and visiting, or any animals up for adoption right now that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, we have tons of puppies, so if anybody's looking for a small, medium, or large dog to add to their family, we have them. And all we require is a loving family that will keep it safe and healthy and treat it like one of their own. And we don't charge anything for these dogs. We do require them to be spay or neutered within a certain amount of time of adopting them if they aren't already. And so we just want people to be able to have an opportunity to adopt a dog and not be charged an arm and a leg to do that.
Yeah. That amazes me in itself, because I know you've given them their shots and stuff, and that costs money out of your pocket too.
It does, yep.
And so you're not only are you driving all the way down to California and you're picking up these animals and then driving all the way back, then you're taking them to the vet to make sure that there's not something seriously wrong with them, and you're giving them their shots, and sometimes I think you're even spay or neutering them, and then if you find a nice loving family, you're not charging them for any of that.
No.
And then, but we did talk about you maybe putting together an optional package for them to buy, like food and dishes and some toys for those who are interested in it. But again, making that completely optional, because even though you're putting all that out, all you really care about is them going to a loving family. And again, I don't know how many times I can just say you're an amazing person, because I don't know if I could say anybody else I know would do what you're doing.
Oh, well, it is, a labor of love, and I love these animals, so I want them to have homes, and I don't want a financial barrier to keep them from getting a loving home, because there's a lot of people that may not be able to pay the $500 up front, but they're able to provide them food, a loving place to live, and vet care from here and there. At least there's shots, and if other stuff comes up, it happens. Recently, one of the dogs that we adopted out ate some pine cones and sticks, and so the owners, they were great, great people. I don't even like saying owners, really, but dog parents were, it was a great home. But do they have $5,000 to pay for a surgery to have foreign items removed out of their brand new puppy they've only had for a week? No. So we ended up taking back the puppy and getting it the vet care it needed, and he's going to go back to his home on Monday. So it's cheaper for me to get vet care than if they were to go, they did take him to the emergency vet, but it was going to be $5,000 to get the treatment. I said, no, bring him back. We can do it for a quarter of that. Yeah. And make sure the dog's healthy and gets kind of back on track. And
if you get too big, you're just going to have a vet on staff.
I know. Well, I think so. It'd be nice to have a vet on staff, or I might just have to go back to school or something. I don't know.
It'd be cool if you could get some vets to volunteer to come out and just do checkups on them. They certainly couldn't do surgery there.
Yeah.
But they could come out and do basic health checks and stuff. And maybe, if this podcast gets out there, maybe you'll get some vet volunteers as well as even regular volunteers.
Yeah, well,
but yeah, they're a special human also.
They really are. That's a field that would be very hard to be in.
Yeah. Do you ever take in snakes?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I do love reptiles.
His whole business is going under, and he's got at least 10, 12 snakes that he would prefer to sell.
I'm sure there's some.
Yeah, he's got some nice ones. He's got a Mystic Pastel, and he's got babies from the Mystic Pastel, and I can't remember what he said he bred her with. But
wow.
Yeah. So told him I'd see what I could do about getting his snakes some homes too. Yeah,
it'd be good to find some snake homes. Huh. Well, are there any sick, injured, or
not that I could
disabled?
Tell. Not that I could tell.
Okay. That's what we've tried to stick with for farm animals coming in, or sick, injured, or disabled, just because those are the ones that are going to be the hardest to find homes for.
Right.
With the dogs, so we have taken in sick, injured, and I guess even dying dogs, but also, we want to adopt out healthy dogs. So we make sure they're healthy before they go to their next home.
Circling back to that, I know that you had talked about you rescued the hospice dog from the kill shelter, and some people may be like, well, why would you do that? The dog is dying anyway. And I know that when you and I had a conversation, you had a really good reason for why it's important, even if it's an animal that has a terminal diagnosis, for them to be in a home versus being put down. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, with the senior dogs, I think it's pretty, they've given humans so much love throughout their lives. This dog that we're talking about, Cooper, he's at least 12, so he likely had a family for 12 years, and then they either let him to the streets after he got sick, or maybe it wasn't even their fault and he got lost. I don't know his story, but he's a good dog, and he wound up at the pound and on the euthanasia list because he was extremely underweight, and you could tell he has cancerous growths all over his body. But to me, the dogs shouldn't be dying in shelters by euthanasia or without love. I thought it was important to pull them out of the shelter, give them a good last few, maybe weeks and maybe months, and show them love, and, give him kind of a good little ending to his 12 years that he's had here, and then doing it humanely, surrounded by, people he knows and cares about and knows that he's cared about too. So, that's kind of how I felt, is he's given so much in his 12 years, we should give him at least a little bit in the last couple months, couple weeks, maybe. It's hard to tell. His tumors are growing. Yeah.
If you were to think about it, I think of animals as my family members, and that would be like taking your grandma or your mom and putting them in a nursing home because they got a terminal diagnosis of 6 months or less. And I know sometimes that's a necessary thing because there's just nobody at home that can do the care for them, but I would never want somebody to pass away in like a long-term care home.
Me either. No.
I've sat with many people because they had nobody there in the first part of my career when I worked in long-term care. It's funny, some people actually do want to go alone, and so they'll wait until everybody left the room and then they'll go.
Yeah.
And others, they won't go until there's somebody there with them. Yeah. And so I think it's just a very heartfelt thing to do. And again, I'm in awe of you.
Well, he's a pretty cute dog, and he's a pit bull, so, they aren't even the most popular. Like, most people aren't going to go to the pound and get a pit bull, especially a 12-year-old pit bull that's skin and bones and has tumors all over him. But he has the look in his eye that he loves life, and he's not in pain, surprisingly. I don't know how. He spent 2 weeks at the vet down in California before I could get down and transport him to Oregon. He was originally going to go to the East Coast to a foster home, but the trip was too long. We weren't sure what shape he was in when we pulled him. We knew he was sick, but we didn't know if he was terminal, if it was something we could cure. It looked like it was probably, something not good. But when we found out it was basically systemic cancer, then we decided it wasn't good to ship him across country, and so he'd need to stay close by. So,
well, I think this has been a really good interview, and I know we talked about following up this interview if anybody is interested with me coming down to the farm and us walking around and actually looking at animals and talking while we're actually at the farm. And so
we'd love to have you.
Give lots of likes to this so that we know that you want to continue this series with Emily, because Emily's always got new animals also.
Oh, yes.
She even had a cow come ask her to rescue it from the neighbor when the neighbor had passed and the family was going to kill the cow.
Yeah.
And the cow disappeared on him.
It fled to my place. Yeah, miles. So that's a whole another story. Yeah. So, we could come do a whole podcast on each animal's story, because they all do have a tale to tell.
Well, I think that would be a good thing to do, too.
Yeah.
So this will be a whole nother series that we'll do, is Sherry and Emily talking about the Oregon Farm Sanctuary. And if any of you are inclined to help, please do. If not, just keep sending good energy and prayers for.
That's just as important.
Her.
Yep.
It certainly is. Yeah. Just show her a little bit of love, even if it's just in a text on Facebook or on the website.
Yeah, just liking our page is helpful.
Yep. And so, okay. Well,
thank you for having me,
and thank you for sharing your story. And yeah, we'll have to make plans for me to come down to the farm.
We'd love that.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into the Path of a Healer podcast. I am so grateful to share this journey with you. Until next time, remember, you are never alone, and let's keep working together to raise our vibrations. See you soon.
Born with a heart so open wide, saw the world through pain's disguise, built her soul with every stride, healing hands and guiding eyes. Miracles in every touch, hardships taught her strength is such. Through the noise she hears a hush, psychic gifts she has shush. On the path of a healer, she's a giver and a feeler. Each road she takes reveal her. For your pain she is a stealer. Experience trauma deep inside, yet she rises like the tide. Keeps her faith right by her side, knows it's love that won't divide. Healing hearts with every glance, her soul dances in a trance. Here to help the world have a chance, her heart desires to enhance. She's here to help and to inspire, in her touch is secret fire. Through her eyes you see the higher. She's the dreamer we all admire. On the path of a healer, she's a giver and a feeler. Each one she takes reveal her. For your pain she is a stealer. On the path of a healer, she's a giver and a feeler. Each wound she takes reveal her. For your pain she is a stealer. On the path of a healer, she's a giver and a feeler. Each wound she takes reveal her. For your pain she is a stealer. Healing hearts with every glance, her soul dances in a trance. Here to help the world have a chance, her heart desires to